G'day mates, in today's video I'm going to be talking about why NA East FNCS winner Bylah is not going to the Invitational. A bunch of pros saying he's cheating, a bunch saying he doesn't want to get bullied. I'm going to get to the bottom of exactly why he's not going and what this means for Peterbot. Also, we have a whole bunch of crazy items being confirmed coming to this season, including launch pads, the Batman grapple mythic, the goo gun, and a whole bunch of other ridiculous items. And we have a confirmed date for when late game arena and late game tournaments are returning to Fortnite. Also, if you're confused about what's going on in today's Placement Cup, the first major tournament of the season, I got you. Let's jump into it. Why am I so excited for the launchpad and a whole bunch of other items to return? It's because Hypex tweeted out new upcoming items. They're set to come out this season unless if scrapped. And I'm going to go into each of them in detail. So Grapple Glider, which is Batman Mythics, it got updated recently. Explosive Goo Gun, Throwable Launchpad, and Supply Drop Radio. I want to kick off with the launchpad because that is my favorite one because it has the biggest effect on competitive in my opinion. Launchpads and bounce pads, I believe, should be in every single competitive meta. They are one of the most balanced forms of mobility. They're good for solos, they're good for team game modes, they're good for reusing it if someone else uses it. They're super balanced. If you use them well, they're really strong. If you use them poorly, you get beamed. They're just a great item. But you'll notice, throwable launch pad, that's a little bit different. And now hear me out. There is a few major reasons why I think this is such a big deal. Firstly, no builds. Throwable launch pads would be able to be used in no builds because you don't have to place a floor to then build the launch pad. You can maybe, I'm guessing, just throw it on any structure. I imagine a world where you could like throw it on a flat wall and you could like bounce off it and go sideways. That might be hoping a little bit too much, but I think the main reason why it's throwable is to go in no builds. But I think there is one other big reason that almost no one is talking about. You may or may not know this. The reason why the launch pad was vaulted from Fortnite, same with the llamas, was because there was a Discord bot where you could put in the game code of the game you were playing from the top left corner, and it would tell you where the llamas, launch pads, and a whole bunch of other items were in that game. That is obviously a huge issue competitively, and unfortunately, once word got out about this, Epic wasn't able to fix it. That is why llamas aren't in competitive, because they've been in every single season. As soon as that Discord Epic got word of it, they got rid of them out of the game. They haven't brought them back. So I don't think it's just the fact that launch pads, they don't want them in the meta. I genuinely think they want them in the game. They just haven't been able to get them back with that Discord bot. I could be wrong, but the fact that llamas aren't back gives me a good idea they haven't been able to fix it. Maybe a throwable launch pad, which isn't a trap, it's an entirely new item, is somehow separate from that. Maybe they can somehow keep it away from that, which means it could go in competitive. I would absolutely love to see this. I would be so excited to see the launch pad come back to the game. And it's a bit more balanced now. It's not a trap. You don't carry it like a trap. I'm guessing by it being a throwable launch pad, it is going to be a carryable item, which for the lot of you guys out there who don't like launch pads, that might maybe bring you a little bit further back to thinking it is more balanced. You have to give up another item if you want to carry it. It's not just as simple as carrying a trap. Now let's go back to the top, the Grapple Glider. Batman Mythic just got updated recently. That's a very good sign it's coming back to the game. Now, this was one of my favorite updates of all time, the Gotham update. It was so good. Tilted Towers turned into Gotham. It looked crazy. It was a little bit dark for my old boomer eyes. I couldn't really see what I was doing, but gliding around, and of course, the Grapple Glider was such a good addition. Out of all the grapples we've had in the game, I think the Grapple Glider and the one you used to get from the mid-map, I believe it wasn't Agency, it was Authority, I think it was, in the water season. The grapples where you grapple and then your glider pulls. I think those are the most balanced forms of the grapple because you can't just use them to take height and you can't just use them to get through endgame so cleanly. If you use it wrong, you are going to get beamed out of the sky. You are going to get boxed. It's just not as quick of a form of mobility, and it's nowhere near as good for taking high ground. So I personally wouldn't mind seeing the Grapple Glider come back to competitive. Maybe it's at least worth trying out. I don't think this is the kind of item that I want to see just go straight into pubs and never see competitive. I think it could be an interesting addition. Now, the Explosive Goo Gun. While having so many terrible innuendos, we already have to deal with all the jokes of pros passing each other their meat. The glue gun is going to be ridiculous. Sorry, the goo gun, but I don't know what this does. I'm not going to try and pretend like I know what it does. The image looks like you spray some goo on people. I don't know if it's going to do damage. I'm guessing it's going to do damage. I'm guessing it's used for enemies. Maybe it breaks builds. Maybe it catches them on fire. I know nothing. This is the kind of item that looks like something that would only go into pubs and wouldn't go into competitive, but I could be completely wrong. I guess we'll have to see how the goo gun goes. And then the last one, supply drop radio. I'm guessing an item maybe that calls in a guaranteed supply drop. could be a pretty cool concept. I don't know whether that would be that strong. I guess especially if the launch pad comes back, but maybe the launch pad isn't in the supply drop because it's not a trap, it's now an item, and I guess you get a guaranteed epic or legendary weapon. That's pretty cool, and you get some extra meds too, but it will signal on the map, so players could probably key you if all of a sudden supply drops start popping up everywhere. But it's a few new items, and I'm excited that Epic's trying some new stuff. All right, let's talk about whatever is going on with Bylah and why he is not going to the Invitational. This is, of course, Bylah, who just won FNCS 2 seasons ago on NA East with Peterbot. Let's get to the bottom of why he's not going. There is a lot of accusations being thrown around, one of which that Bylah is cheating, so he doesn't want to go to LAN because then he'll get exposed. There's a lot of people now saying that he thinks that he's going to get bullied for his appearance, so he doesn't want to go because then he's going to get ridiculed. But there is the main official statement from Bylah's manager, which I don't think enough people are talking about, so I want to at least give that the proper attention since that seems to be the official reason, and then I'll address the other ones. So firstly, we have C Mills, which is the head of business development at Elite Esports and looks like is Bylah's manager. He tweeted out, to everyone wondering what happened, Bylah gave his FNCS Invitational spot to Jampa. This has been something Peter, Bylah, and I have spoken about. Peter wants to do really well at LAN, and with Bylah leaving for vacation in 2 days, on top of him barely touching the game this season, it would be near impossible to get good practice before LAN. Bylah understands he is missing out on a huge opportunity. He didn't want to drag Peter down because he will not be able to play any of the placement cups with Peter, which would help prepare them for FNCS Invitational. Even though there is a lot of money on the line, Bylah felt it would be weird to hold Peter back because he can't prepare / want to play the game at 110%. It was a difficult decision to make, but a selfless one. Okay, so let's break that down. That is respectable. My man is sticking to his commitments for his family and for his life outside of Fortnite. Yes, the Invitational is a ridiculous amount of money. Yes, it's a ridiculous opportunity, but you have to, at face value, if this is what Bylah is saying is the reason he doesn't want to go, that's what we have to believe. It's just that simple. You're not going to get anything else. Everything else after this is just rumors. You have other professionals like Miro saying, I mean, he's been qualified for the Invitational for months, easily could have told his parents to reschedule or not book anything during this time. The prize pool could book another 10 vacations. So, let's talk about this. Quanti actually had a great response. He said, that's not the point. Placement cups were announced so late, meaning no preseason, which was when his vacation was booked. If there was preseason, he would have been fine because he would come back in time and prepare for Invitationals. That is a good point. If you were going to book a holiday in with your family at any time, now would basically be the time to do it. When you assume there was going to be some kind of a preseason or at least very early tournaments on. These tournaments kicked off 6 days into the new season, which is very, very uncharacteristic for Fortnite. Secondly, is it worth it? We can't decide that. I'm someone who has sacrificed a fair bit for my career. I love what I do. I absolutely live and breathe it, but there are times where I haven't been able to go to certain things with my family, haven't been able to go on vacations, haven't been able to do and see things that I wish I did, but at the same time, those are sacrifices I'm willing to make. Bylah might not, and that's totally fine. Yes, it's a huge opportunity of money, but maybe Bylah really wants to spend some time with his family, and like he said, would feel guilty if him and Peterbot didn't do well because he wasn't grinding. Peterbot is now playing with Jampa, who are already looking very, very good. They're going condo. They played in the tournament I was hosting today and looked absolutely incredible off spawn. I guess it just is what it is. A lot of people in the comments have very mixed decisions for this. A lot of people saying he's trolling, people saying he should be more selfish, but I at least wanted to give more attention to Bylah's official statement of why he's not going, because whether you think he's cheating, whether you think he doesn't want to get bullied, at the end of the day, I don't think we're ever going to know, but Bylah is not going to Invitational. Peterbot is going to be playing with Jampa. It is crazy. It is what it is. We have our first word about what's going on with late game arena and the late game tournaments in the game. Fortnite Competitive tweeted out, late game competitive events are now visible in game. We're working hard to resolve issues and bring back late game arena and events as quickly as possible. Check out the compete tab to see when we hope to bring late game and stay tuned for more info. Now, I'm not really sure exactly what they mean by check out the compete tab to see when we bring back late game, because we do have the late game cups. They're in 29 days. We have almost 30 days until the late game arena tournament. So does that mean we're waiting 30 days until late game arena? Because it says check the compete tab to see when we're bringing it back. I'm assuming they didn't mean that. I'm assuming late game arena is going to come back before the tournament. They are still trying to fix some of the issues with late game arena. I still don't know whether the game mode was meant to be in creative or this weird creative 2.0 thing, or whether it's meant to be in game, because when it first dropped, it was in game. Then they turned it off for 9 hours and it went creative. But then I heard from a lot of people from different feedback they were getting from Epic that it was meant to be in creative. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know when it's coming back. I'm sorry. It is sometime in the next 30 days, but what we do know, what we can look at are these late game cups. There are late game quick trio cash cup and a late game solo quick cup, but there are the late game trio cash cups and the late game solo cash cup. Now, looking at EU specifically, because I feel like EU is always just the best measure of the prize pool because it's always the biggest, but it's always the most standard. It's the least weird. If we look at it, they're going to have 2 rounds. Round 1 is going to take 2 hours. Round 2 is going to take 2.5 hours. The prize pool is looking pretty decent. This is trios. You're going to get $3,000 for first. That's $1,000 each, all the way down until top 10 getting $900, so $300 each. Remember, there's only 60 players per lobby, so if they're giving money down to top 10 in trios, that's half the lobby. It's looking really, really good as far as the prize pool goes for a late game cup. Solos is all equally looking pretty good as well. The solo prize pool on day 2 is going to be $3,000 for first, and then $150 for top 30. So same thing. They're giving that prize pool down until halfway through the lobby, and you're going to walk away with $3,000 for first. You can jump in the game and check out how much it is for each of your regions as well, but it looks like it will be a fun tournament. Is this prize pool enough to equal missing out on FNCS? We talked about that in the recent video. No, if you add all these prize pools up, we are still at a big loss compared to previous seasons with FNCS, cash cups, all the other stuff on top. I'm not saying there's not something else coming up later in this season, and also I need to include with the Invitational, they do have to factor in the cost of actually flying all those pros out, giving them their flights, putting them in accommodation, setting up the venue, getting all the staff. That does cost money. I get that. So I don't want to keep acting like Epic's doing nothing this season. I guess maybe we just have to change our mindset. If we want more LAN events, I guess maybe we have to assume there's going to be less prize money. I'd love to live in a world with the amount of money Epic's making, we have both, but maybe there's just a set amount they have every season, and the budget for the LANs have to come out of that. Speaking of tournaments, right now, as of this video going live, the Placement Cup is going to be taking place. Twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. Swing by, check me out. I'm going to be doing a viewing party for a whole bunch of different regions, checking out the new competitive meta. But there are some changes I want to talk about. We now have Fortnite's 5th birthday. It's the 5th anniversary of Fortnite, which is crazy. I've been playing this game for 5 years and I still suck. Whatever. There is now pizza in the game. It is basically a super buffed mini. The way it works is you eat it, you gain 25 health, you gain 25 shield. You can throw it on the ground, eat it straight out of the box, or you can carry up to 3 slices in each inventory slot. They are super strong. Make sure you are abusing pizza in this Placement Cup. In case you guys are still confused, I'm getting a bunch of questions about the Placement Cup. Let me answer some of them. Firstly, it is 2 rounds. You need to get top 200 at the end of round 2 in your region to go straight onto the Elite Cup track. That means you can play in the Elite Cup finals later this week and earn prize money. If you don't get in those higher ranks, you're going to get seeded in champion or contender division. That's totally fine. What happens if you miss the Placement Cup? You are going to automatically start in contender division and have to make your way up to the Elite Cup over the next few weeks. How many points do you need to play it? You need 2,000 arena points. All you need is contender division. Is it region locked? Yes, you can only play 1 region for the Placement Cup. The following divisional cups for the following weeks are not region locked. So starting Monday, you are going to be able to play in the regional, into the different regions Placement Cups, but you'll be starting in the lowest division because you missed the placement. So play the placement tournament for the region that's your main region, and then next week when we get the actual divisional cup starting, you can play multiple regions, but do not queue up for the Placement Cup in another region. You will get region locked. Good luck. You know the deal. Chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.